Tonight, I would like to talk about, of course, CellAge Plus and how it can benefit the immune system. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us tonight or today, whatever time it is, wherever we are here in Zoom land. And I want to show how CellAge Plus can be so beneficial in these very dangerous and serious times right now. It's a grave situation that's happening out there with people's health. And what you can do to not only prevent that problem occurring, but also, in addition, if it does, what you can do to reduce any of the symptoms. And you probably won't have it anyway if you're taking CellAge Plus, because you're going to be very protected and particularly against going into a more extreme stage of the condition. So let's just get started here. What I'd like to mention here is you have within your body, what's happening here? We'll go back there. What's called your innate wisdom. Now, what is that? Your innate wisdom is that power and inner knowledge within you that controls your whole health, controls everything about you, your energy production, your regeneration, your health, your immunity, you name it, your inner wisdom, it's called your innate power, innate healing power. It controls all that. There's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. Some of you don't even know what's going on, but it's working for you all the time. The breathing for the oxygen, you don't think about that much unless you go into deep meditation. Your heart pumping the oxygen, the nutrients throughout your body, all your hormones and your enzymes that are activated, your antioxidants that your body makes, and all of those, your whole immune system, those cells in there fighting the bad guys, the good guys against the bad guys. You know, you actually have trillions, in fact, probably zillions of bacteria in you. You've got trillions of cells, and that's the key and the essence of who we are. But you also have trillions, zillions of bacteria. Many are good, many are bad, viruses, fungus, whatever they may be. But it's what we do to be able to activate and empower this inner healing power, innate wisdom, that's going to help us prevent any conditions, the degenerative conditions from developing. So right now, I think the most pressing thing on everybody's mind is COVID-19 and all the variants. You know, there's just any microorganism, they've been around for eons. They were probably the first live force on this planet, you know, way before human beings, of course. And they know how to survive. So what do? They mutate. You know, if there's like antibiotic resistant drugs, for instance, you know, you can take certain antibiotics now and they won't even touch strep. They won't even touch staph. They won't even touch some of the more deadly viruses and bacteria today. And of course, that's what's going to happen with these viruses. They're going to change forms. They're going to mutate. They become a whole new entity. So now we have to, it's not about fighting that virus so much as it is empowering our inner body to be able to deal with all of them. So, you know, this is a novel coronavirus. Still, nobody knows where it came from. I have my ideas, but I won't share them here. But it's a SARS, you know, it's a severe acute respiratory syndrome. Before there was H1N1, you know, and things of that nature. This is a new strain of it. I can't say strain of it, but anyway, it's, my slides aren't changing. Let's see what's going on here. I'll go down here. There. So why so serious? Well, for one, to date, there's probably 180 million cases worldwide reported. I mean, it just keeps escalating. 3.85 million documented deaths worldwide attributed to COVID. Now, that's not even the icing on the cake. There are so many more cases of people who just don't go get tested. You know, they don't even want to know, or they just want to stay home. They don't want to. Anyway, it's out there. It's kind of like, let's say, diabetes. There's millions and millions of diabetics around the world. It's just escalating exponentially. And there's so many that are pre-diabetic and so many who are diabetic and don't even know it. So that's the same with the COVID. There's just millions and millions more, and many who've had it and don't even know it, and because they didn't have any major symptoms. So, many people will have some moderate symptoms and others will have some very debilitating conditions, those particularly with metabolic syndrome or cardiovascular disease, diabetes, chronic respiratory disease, kidney problems, cancer, you name it. Individuals that are compromised, they're going to have more problems. Let me see if I can move this out of the way. There, I think that's better. Yeah, okay. So the COVID, through direct saliva discharge from the nose, when a person coughs or sneezes, many other ways. They don't even know all the ways that it's spread. I mean, they say it can last on certain surfaces for hours, even days. So it's still a lot of mystery about this particular novel virus because it's so new and they're just discovering more all the time. But, everybody should wear their masks. I can't believe in America that people just are so resistant to wearing masks. And look how many people died over there. Oh, I forget how many, hundreds of thousands. But anyway, wash hands thoroughly, so important. And use a good sanitizer when you can, of course. Those are just things we know what to do. But here's a situation. Okay, let's say you're subjected to this COVID virus. It gets into your system, through the nasal passages usually, or many other ways too, possibly. And it causes an immediate inflammatory reaction by your immune system, which is good in some respects. You get the dendrite cells, the monocytes, all of these guys who come in and basically, hold on one second here. Let me see if I can get this out of the way. Great. Okay. Sorry about that. And your immune system, all those cells, the macrophages, the monocytes, the dendritic cells, and we'll talk about that, your immune system. But here's the problem with COVID. It creates this cytokine storm, which is an overreaction of the body. And that's what's causing the major problem. The acute respiratory disease syndrome, the multiple organ failure that's happening now, hyperinflammation syndrome, even death. There's a story, and it's a true story. There's a basketball player in America, University of Florida, I think he was, 19 years old. He tested positive for COVID. He had to quit playing for a couple of weeks, came back and played a couple of games. All of a sudden, he got out of a huddle, was going out to play. He just fell flat on his face. Many of you may have heard about this, and just passed out. They rushed him to the hospital, put him on life support. It turns out his heart had degenerated so much from the after effects of the COVID. So look at this, heart degeneration. These are what's happening with this particular virus because the body, the immune system is attacking the body on all aspects and causing this degeneration. Lung and other degeneration, decreased function, mental dysfunction. It's creating Alzheimer's in some people, memory loss, mental focus, power. I've got a good friend. He's 42 years of age. He was on oxygen in the hospital for a while. Now he's experiencing so many problems. I mean, he's totally COVID-free, but so many lingering problems, vision problems, loss of smell, chronic skin rashes, circulatory problems. I mean, these black toes, people losing their circulation. I know you've probably heard about, how it causes blood clots in people's systems. So it basically just blocks the circulation. When that circulation's blocked, you're not getting oxygen distributed throughout your whole body and your mind. You're not getting nutrients distributed. So you're going to get degeneration. So it's all about the innate wisdom or healing power in your body. That's what we want to activate and feed. Now, keep in mind, CellAge Plus is not a drug, right? I always make that very clear. It's a functional food. It's an herbal synergistic herbal formulation. So it's not going to heal or cure any disease, but it can prevent and it can help just about everything because it's helping you control and manage this. So All natural stem cell and immune enhancing formulation, regenerating wellness, looking younger longer, extending quantity and quality of your life. And we can live to be 120, but if we're sitting in a hospital bed somewhere, it's not much fun. So we want to have quality of life, and that's very important. Nourish and activate your existing working cells. Billions, trillions that you die every day, you have to regenerate them. You have to feed them. This is a cell food, and it's patented as such. Awaken and empower your hibernating stem cells. You have millions of stem cells in your body that are asleep. It's very interesting how this is science. And because they're not getting the nutrients they need. That's why this formula was designed for many purposes, but we'll talk about that. But for stem cell activation, it's a cell food, immune balance, anti-inflammatory, and so many other things. So with regards to stem cells, it's proven and documented clinical human studies proving its ability to create millions of new adult stem cells in the body in just 5 hours and wake up those hibernating ones. Nourish and empower existing working cells, awaken the dormant, hibernating ones, reduce inflammation in the body, and empower the immune system. The other thing is, it is 100% safe. It's like eating food. Now, quickly, this is just the human clinical studies that we did both in Asia and in America, and to show in 5 hours, 15, 30, 60 days, how we could continue to increase the stem cells in the body. Now, this study was done at Johns Hopkins Medical University with my partner and our associate and one of our medical advisory staff. She was former chief stem cell scientist at Johns Hopkins Medical University. She's probably maybe tops in the world. We're so fortunate to have Dr. Ann Steele on our team. She's brilliant, a genius. Anyway, she took basic heart, and then took the cells from it and put it into a broth where they grow the stem cells. You can see that without the CellAge Plus. Then she fed it CellAge Plus, and look at how many more there are. And they were active, they were more alive, she said. So important. But everything comes down to the cell. That's your energy source, that's your regeneration, that's everything that happens in your body happens in that cell. So important. Look at the live there, huh? So let's look at the 3 lines of defense. You've got basically the immune system functions with scavenge dead, dying body cells, destroy the cancer cells, abnormal cells, protect from pathogens and foreign molecules such as parasites, bacteria, virus, fungus, all of those, keeps them in check. You know, I think probably everybody's been exposed to the COVID virus. Everybody gets exposed to colds and flus and staph and you know, it's like you go to a dinner and somebody gets food poisoning. You ate the same food, you don't get it. Why? Because your immune system's a little stronger. It was able to defeat that E. coli or whatever that may have been. Now, I'm going to put this into very basic terms. You have 3 lines of defense against these pathogens. One's a physical and chemical barrier. That's called innate immunity. Non-specific resistance. That's another part of the innate immunity. Keep in mind, you know, we're talking about innate wisdom, and specific resistance, which is your acquired immunity. Let's talk about those briefly. So the first line is your skin, mucous membranes, the cilia in your lungs, the stomach acids, urine flow. All those are ways your body protects. Second is you activate that immune system. Okay, that's what's happening. Is the COVID is overactivating your immune system. You're getting all these excess cells basically coming in to try to get rid of this virus that end up attacking your tissues, attacking your organs, your glands, your brain. You know, these come from the thymus, spleen, lymph nodes, bone marrow, lymph vessels. And then you look at this. Oh, this didn't come out too good. Sorry about that. So your non-specific barriers are skin, mucous membrane, stomach acid, lysosome, and tears. Even your tears, you know. Maybe that's why I cry so much in movies. Anyway, coughing, sneezing, vomiting, diarrhea. That's your body's way of getting rid of these toxins, you know. Sometimes a cold and a little bit of flu can be beneficial if you're extremely toxic, believe it or not. It's your body's detox, but you just don't want it to go to too much of extreme. Same with a fever. A fever can be beneficial. We had a center in Mexico where we'd use high heat to kill cancer. You know, it's called hyperthermia. So anyway, you want to be able to control it though. You have to be able to manage it so it doesn't get too high to cause problems. Your innate immunity, natural macrophages, neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, monocytes, all those, the complementary system, okay, that's immediately activated. Now, after you've been exposed to this, then your body comes out with what's called your adaptive immunity, where it builds up your antigens, your antibodies, your CD4, CD8 cells, things of that nature, which you're building up in a long-term resistance to it. That's what a lot of vaccinations are based on. Okay, in this world where microorganisms are everywhere, trillions of them in each of us body, had to develop natural defense against them, which we have, or we'd be dead. You know, if we didn't have this innate wisdom, we wouldn't be alive. It controls things 24 hours a day. It's our great protector. We're brilliant inside. We don't even know it. It's like Einstein said, we're probably using 5% of our brain power. Think about that, 5%. That's so little. Maybe 90% of that is our inner wisdom, our innate power. Complex network of specialized cells, glands, organs, specialized proteins, molecular messengers such as enzymes make up the body's immune system and antioxidants, prevents bacteria, fungi, viruses, and parasites from over multiplying inside the body, inflicting harm and illness to the body processes. In addition to protecting the body from foreign invaders, this body defense system has capability of recognizing and destroying worn-out body cells, abnormal cells. Maybe somebody needs to mute their mic. Okay, cells so vital to health. This shows how important and essential it is to have a cell food to keep your immune system strong. You've got to feed your immune system. You've got to have the right amino acids, the right polysaccharides or carbohydrates, and the right elements to feed that immune system. One thing you're going to hear about more and more is called the microbiome. Your immune system is in your gut, believe it or not. I'm going to show you this. You're going to hear more and more about the microbiome. What affects it? Genetics, environment, diet, lifestyle, hormones, pollutants from the industry. What is it? It's your nose. Mucus production, that gets rid of viruses. You have a runny nose. You're trying to get rid of something. Sometimes it's gluten from wheat, you know, it's just mucus. The mouth assists in digestion, but it also wards off pathogens. They say a dog has all this bacteria in its mouth that kills unfriendly bacteria and it can eat anything. We have some very similar mechanism in our mouth too. Lungs lubricate pulmonary tissues, and of course they block so much, and well, we won't get into smoking right now. Stomach prevents gastric complications. Colon, digestion of complex carbohydrates, as well as detoxification. Sexual organs maintain pH and hydrogen peroxide production to kill microbes. Isn't that interesting? Skin, fortify immune system, and scent production. Our skin is our body's largest detoxifier. When people get rashes and such, sometimes that's good. It's getting the toxins out. Look at all these points here that have to do with your immune system, the tonsils, there's even lymph nodes, appendix, bone marrow, groin, lymph nodes, Peyer's patches in your small intestine. That could be the seat of your immune system, some integrative doctors think. The spleen, of course, very important. Thymus gland, thoracic duct, connection to the bloodstream, lymph nodes throughout your whole body. Now, this is a very serious situation that many people don't know about. It's called leaky gut syndrome. What does that mean? That means there are certain particles and substances and toxins and such which actually can create holes in your small intestine, microscopic holes. What happens then when your food is supposed to be digested there, it's leaking into the bloodstream and creating an immediate inflammatory immune response. Toxins, microorganisms, gluten from wheat, that can cause serious problems when it gets into your bloodstream if it's not digested. And then you get leaky, inflamed, tight junctions, and you get an IgA reaction, IgG, B and T cells get released. So it activates your immune system when these food particles and microbes get through the small intestine directly into the blood. What can it lead to? Nutrient malabsorption, autoimmune problems, food intolerance, blood-brain barrier breach. And very interesting why there's so much Alzheimer's these days. They're saying that, what was it? 50% of people over the age of 85 now have Alzheimer's in the world. Oh, it's so sad. They should be in their prime. I can't wait till I get there. Well, I'm enjoying right now. And systemic inflammation. All those are so important. You can see here, many medications cause this problem. Unfortunately, birth control pills, some antibiotics, steroids, stress, toxins like radiation, bacteria and viruses and such, and certain food particles. When they get into the bloodstream, look at that, they go through the lymphatic system, creating autoimmune problems, systemic inflammation. I want to say this right now, inflammation is probably the #1 cause of almost every disease there is today. It's involved in every condition. And food intolerance. To give you an example, now they're finding out that high cholesterol may be okay. I mean, you don't want it too high. You don't want to go out there and just stuff yourself with cholesterol foods, but you need cholesterol. It's a part of the cell. It's a part of the brain cell. It's a part of your hormones, part of your enzymes. It has its function and benefit. But what they're seeing is that you can have high cholesterol and you may be fine. If your good cholesterol HDL is high and your bad's low, the bad is low. But also it's the inflammation. That's why anytime anybody checks cholesterol before they put you on drugs, should check your CRP, C-reactive protein, your homocysteine. Those two factors show how much inflammation is happening inside your blood vessels. And that's the key, not the cholesterol. Chronic inflammation, cancer, pulmonary lung problems, diabetes too, autoimmune diseases, arthritis, neurological diseases, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease. What else is there? You've got to look at reducing inflammation in your body. So what do you got to do about leaky gut? Well, you remove the bad stuff. You got to detox now and then. You replace the good with essential ingredients like CellAge Plus. You re-inoculate the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria, which we are able to do with CellAge Plus. And I'll be showing you that. That repairs and regenerates the cells in your body. Here's what can cause it. Look at these. UV light. Okay, in Asia in particular, Americans and Europeans love sunlight too much, but here they hate it too much. So not hate it, but they avoid it too much. You need a little sunlight, okay? At least 5-10 minutes in the morning if you can. It creates vitamin D in your body. You can take all the milk with vitamin D in it you want, and you're not going to get enough. They found with COVID, every serious complication with COVID had low vitamin D. Very, very important. And as we get older too, it's so important because vitamin D is essential for calcium absorption. So anyway, ionizing radiation and electromagnetic frequencies, they're getting worse and worse. I mean, who knows if the studies are accurate, but you look at things like 4G now, or is it 5G? I think there's 5G. I think that's as high as it goes. I've heard there's 6G in Oregon. There's so much electromagnetic radiation we're exposed to, and you just have to deal with that as well. Smoking, the worst thing I think any human being can do. It's not the tobacco. It's the 100 plus carcinogenic chemicals and toxic metals that are in smoke and cigarettes. Tobacco is not a harmful substance. It's the chemicals. Okay, pollution, air pollution and such, we can't get away from it. It's probably going to be around forever. Hopefully we're getting better with controlling it, but there's still, we need business. White blood cells, inflammation, which we're talking about with COVID, it all damages the DNA. It creates these free radicals, which is what I'm getting to. And then metabolism, faulty metabolism. CellAge Plus, let's say this, over 85% of the antioxidants needed by the body on a daily basis have to be created in the liver from special specific amino acids. These are contained in a very bioavailable, balanced form in CellAge Plus. Very important. These antioxidants are essential for your life and your quality of life and your being. And look at this, all the things antioxidants do by fighting free radicals we were just talking about. They neutralize them. And your body produces these, but it has to have the right elements. It has to have the right amino acids, it has to have the enzymes, it has to have the carbohydrate, the special kind of carbohydrate to give it energy. Support kidney function, improve reproductive function, nervous system, anti-aging effect, maintain good dental health, reduce obesity, protect the liver, support the immune system, and improve the defense power of the body. That's why antioxidants are so vital right now. Maintain healthy vision, offer protection against digestive disorders, improve quality of sleep, and support respiratory system. The respiratory system, that's the big problem right now with this particular pathogen that's affecting people. Now, this is something to keep in mind. Antioxidants are basically enzymes, and I'll explain why. They're the spark of life, enzymes are. They're like the fuel in a car, okay? I mean, you've got to have that spark to ignite it. The same in your body, that catalyst. You've got over 75,000 enzymes in your human body. People think, oh, I take enzymes every day. I'll show you what you take. There's enzymes for energy production. ATP is our source of energy. The cells produce it. They're the powerhouse. You measure ATP as how much energy you have in your body. Enzymes for digestion, of course, the protease for proteins. If you don't have enough, you can lead to cancer. Lipase for fats. If you're not breaking down your fats, can lead to cardiovascular disease. Amylase for carbohydrates. If you don't metabolize your carbohydrates, can lead to hyperinsulinemia and every metabolic disorder, including diabetes, which may be the #1 cause of death today. And I say that no survey or anything will ever disclose that. But when you look at diabetes, and it is just so epidemic around the world, everybody who has diabetes has a much higher tendency for every other degenerative disease, and COVID as well. Enzymes for antioxidants, so important. Everybody's heard of glutathione, I think. That's the most popular one. But you have catalase, you have superoxide dismutase. And the glutathionase, it requires cysteine, glutamine, and glycine to make it. That's what it's basically made of. Our product has those in a bioavailable form to provide those nutrients, to create all these antioxidants that we need. And then you have enzymes for anti-aging, such as the telomerase and for stem cells. Okay. But look at this. Everything says ACE, ATPase, protease, catalase, dismutase, telomerase. ACE means enzymes. You've got to have those. And the CellAge Plus provides the ingredients to create those in your body. And if you don't have enough of these materials, you don't produce enough of them. So it leads to metabolic dysfunction, cause of chronic disease, premature aging, syndrome X, metabolic syndrome, dysfunction leads to inflammation, more free radicals, and poor health condition. So this is the thing about CellAge Plus. It's clinically proven to stimulate growth, energy, and efficiency of all cells. Human clinical trials. We've got, I don't know how many, maybe a couple hundred actual studies done on our ingredients that we collected while we were formulating this product. And keep in mind too, it's a synergistic balance. We just didn't throw this in, throw that in. We tested, we made sure that it was safe, healthy. And keep in mind, this is a functional food. This is not a drug, not a medicine, and it's not a stimulant. Some people say, hey, well, I don't feel any more energy from it. So it's building and building. And you'll notice that you have less tendency to diseases, more resistance, and more power. Provides necessary materials for increased cellular, physical, and mental energy. Builds and modulates the immune system. Good for kidney, livers, helps to detoxify, quick recovery from exercise and disease, overcome fatigue, proven brain food and brain cell protector. We've got extensive research done at Emory University School of Medicine on the neurotoxins and Alzheimer's, and showing how it can protect the brain from these Produces antioxidants to combat damaging free radicals and is a natural anti-inflammatory and anti-aging. Accelerates, enhances repair of damaged tissue and recovery from disease and trauma. Now, this is the thing, like I mentioned earlier with the individual who had COVID but no symptoms, the basketball player, and next thing he knows, he's got a degenerative heart condition, which he never had before. This is what happens. Now, if you're taking the product, you're regenerating, so this degeneration does not happen. That is what's so special about this. Activates protein synthesis, sugar and fat metabolism, increases growth of beneficial bacteria in the colon by up to 400%. That is so important because, as I mentioned earlier, the seat of your immune system is in your gut. It starts here and ends up on the other end, but it's what happens in between that counts. So it strengthens and improves hair, skin, and nails. One thing you may notice taking the CellAge Plus is all of a sudden your fingernails are growing stronger and longer, and you're having to cut them more often, but that's a good sign. Your hair as well. A complete functional food containing a proprietary, patented USA natural substance presenting possibly one of the most powerful constituents to support stem cell health and resulting immune system discovered to date. That's why I'm telling you why the CellAge Plus is so important, so special. Provides the amino acids required for antioxidant and enzyme production. It's considered a food supplement, so it can be brought onto the market almost immediately in any country worldwide. Keep in mind, there's 100% no drugs in this, and we get the finest sources, the best in the world. They're not the cheapest, that's for sure. They're usually the most expensive ingredients, but they're the best. They're proven. And let's talk about these ingredients real quick. Now, I'm going to go through each one here and just highlight. You can see all the benefits, and we've got the research to show this, but I'm going to highlight in red here the ones that are most essential for the immune system. Alleviate inflammation, anti-inflammatory, detox your cells, enhance immunity, improve blood circulation. This is the organic young wheatgrass powder, and it's gluten-free. Improve blood circulation, so important now. When you hear about whether it's from a vaccination or from the exposure to the virus itself, the blood coagulation that's happening, and it's just blocking the circulation. It's like similar to what diabetes does with gangrene in some respects. And they're calling it black toes, and it's happening in other parts of the body too. It's an effective healer, high in chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is one of the most powerful healers. Increases red blood cells, actually all cells of the body. Now, chlorella growth factor. I'm sure many of you have heard of chlorella, but this is an extract from chlorella of the nucleic acids, the DNA and RNA. This is for supporting cellular health and regeneration. That's the key. We have to regenerate or we degenerate. That's the balance. Every body is made of cells. Cellular health is crucial to our overall healthy immune function, both internal and external. As we talked about earlier with the 3 levels of the immune system. As we get older, the body produces less and less of DNA and RNA, which is said to be a key factor in rapid aging and leaves us more prone to illness and disease. So look what this, just some of the things. I won't have time to go through all of it, but it builds and modulates the immune system, enhances production of interferon, which is so important for viruses, accelerates and enhances repair of damaged tissue, increases growth of beneficial bacteria in the colon by 400%. That's the microbiome. That's your protector. The APP, the polysaccharides for cellular energy production, the polypeptides as raw materials for cellular enzyme production, and antioxidants. We just talked about why that's so important. Vitamins and minerals as cofactors, essential fatty acids, anti-inflammation, and bowel function. Now, a stimulator for enzyme production. I'm going through these one by one, but because I want to stress how each ingredient has these totality of benefits, particularly for the immune system, which is what we're focusing on tonight. So these nutrients help produce enzymes, to spark of life, to produce energy, to create that healing power in your body. These are just some of the many benefits. Reduces inflammation in joints and muscles, improves respiratory function. That's the key. with the COVID, where it starts is the asthma, allergic rhinitis, cold, flu, pneumonia. Okay. Fucoidan. This is a brown algae, a very special brown algae. It slows blood clotting. I mean, that's what everybody needs. Stroke, for heart attack, deep vein thrombosis, this blood coagulation that's happening right now. Antiviral, cold, flu, hepatitis, HIV, anti-inflammatory and antioxidant, immune modulating effects. That's the whole key. The Sesaplex and sesamin, very, very powerful substance made from black sesame seeds. Reduce inflammation, has shown in clinical studies to fight against H1N1 and other viral diseases. I know the manufacturer, the original developer of this product, and of one of them, there's two of them, Sesaplex and sesamin. And at one point, I forget how many millions he sold to Malaysia government for when the H1N1 was so serious. Quercetin, wonderful bioflavonoid, great phytonutrient. It fights free radicals, has antioxidant properties, reduce inflammation, prevent infection. Curcumin, many of you consume, curcumin on a regular basis. Turmeric prevents heart disease, potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant, and also a great weight loss formula. Superberries. Oh, this didn't come out too good. It looked much better when I put it on there. Anyway, superberries. We had this combination, very special formula of superberries, which they have so many potential benefits, as you all know. It's called the ORAC factor, which is a free radical fighting. The red grape, the strawberry, the blueberry, the black currant, the cranberry, and the raspberry. Very balanced form, and it provides so many antioxidants. Xylitol. We looked at many different, let's call them sweeteners, on the market. And xylitol is probably the least harmful and especially beneficial for diabetics. Now, keep in mind, if you're doing xylitol gum and xylitol this and that on the market, they're probably adding aspartame, NutraSweet, which is a toxin, it's a poison. It's going to screw up your blood sugar big time. But pure xylitol actually can help, and that's very little in there, but it usually comes from a birch tree and sometimes corn. So friends, it feeds your friendly microbes in your digestive system. Now keep in mind, you have, okay, I got about 2 minutes. You have probiotics and prebiotics. You've got to feed the bacteria you have in your system. That's your gut, that's your immune system. So important. And that's what a prebiotic is. It's foods. And many of our ingredients are prebiotics. They're feeding that beneficial flora inside you. So why is CellAge Plus just such an incredible formulation? Well, proven effectiveness in scientific research. There's so many products out there in the market, and there's a lot of hype, about what they do, but how many have true human clinical studies and laboratory studies and have like the foremost stem cell scientists in the world endorsing, promoting? Well, she and I formulated the original product. So proven safety and research with ingredients. We did full blood counts, complete CBCs, stem cells, and every bone, the blood marker. When you go to get blood drawn, you want to do about 30 or 40 different indices, biomarkers. Usually they don't do that many, but I always recommend it. I practiced for 40 years, integrated medical doctor, and I'm 70 now. So, and I always did full blood chemistries on every patient. You got to see what's going on so you know what to do about it, because everybody's different. But anyway, we did this on all the human clinical trials to test and make sure at every point that everything was healthy, and it was healthy beyond imagination. It actually improved everything in their blood. So no other company I know has proven human clinical blood chemistry clinical trials. Maybe there's some, and I want to know the authenticity of them, and I'm sure there's many that do. Cost effective, it's probably the most inexpensive product on the market for what it does. Market public demand for future, true regenerator, reversal of disease, anti-inflammatory, so important, builds a healthy gut, the microbiome. And it's not just an immune stimulator, but more builder, balancer, and modulator. That's a very special word because, you know, a lot of the mushrooms these days, they say they're great for the immune system, but they're stimulators. They're going to stimulate the immune system, which may be contraindicated right now. You need to modulate and balance the immune system rather than overstimulate it because it's already in that activated stage. So anyway, it's so important to have positive health, positive life, you know, positive you, positive frame of mind, positive spiritual life, and everything. It's just that's up to us. You know, we create that. We can't rely on anybody else to do that for us. So anyway, what it's all about, what it comes down to, is CellAge Plus is for everybody, all ages. That's the great thing about it. And I don't know if you can take too much because it's a food. You know, that's the thing about it. Everybody needs to understand that. And you're empowering your immune system. It's for better quality and quantity of life. As I said earlier, what good does it do if you're aged and you're living a long life and you're not healthy? You know, if you're degenerated or if you suffer a degenerative disease that devastates your whole financial income and everything you've saved all your life, it could be gone like that. We want to prevent all of that as much as we can. And there's no drug that will stop it. But this is a great preventative as well as it's a regenerator that can help your body overcome this degeneration. So enjoy life and have a great quality of life. Okay? All right. So I think what we want to do is, which is the most fun part, is open this up for questions. So let me close this. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for Dr. Marks. Just now, the presentation was very professional, detailed, and positive and empowering session just now. Yeah, so thank you so much. Currently, we are going to open up the most fun and interesting part, which is the Q&A session. So welcome all friends and guests tonight. If you have any questions related to the content that Dr. Mark has just shared, or anything related to CellAge Plus, you know, or related to health, you may type down and submit your question here in the chat box. All right. So for information for some of you that who joined late just now, okay, let me introduce you Dr. Mark. He is our researcher and formulator for our CellAge Plus, together with Dr. Ann and also the R&D team all the way from US. So he knows better, right, the products, you know, and how it could help all of us to improve our health. You know, it's either regenerative or degenerative, right? So all of you are welcome to type up the questions here. So we are going to take the first questions. So how does Lavir help, you know, for people who are undergoing pre-menopause?
Well, Lavir has two products. They have the Ageless and they have the CellAge Plus. Which one are they talking about?
Of course, CellAge Plus.
Well, CellAge Plus will do it on the outside. Aegis on the inside. Aegis will do it on the outside. Okay. For premenopause, is that what you said?
Yes, premenopause.
Well, you know, it's actually quite wonderful, and I'll tell you why. Hormones require certain amino acids to produce, and they also require the enzymes. Can you see my screen? Am I on?
Yes, we can see you. Yeah.
Let me change this here. Let me get into gallery. Okay. So what you're looking at there is as you age, your hormone production is going to go down, particularly for women. Men go through it too. It's called menopause. Why do they call it menopause? I always wonder because they should call it women pause, right?
Menopause.
But anyway, it is what it is, and everybody understands that. But your hormone production, particularly estrogen, is going to decrease. When that happens, it's going to affect your whole body. It's going to create more inflammation. It's going to create less production of your other hormones. You've got estrogen, you've got progesterone, you've got DHEA, you've got melatonin. All of those decrease as we age. So what we need to do is create as much hormone as we can. We have to have the right food sources, which basically are the amino acids. But then you also need polysaccharides to create energy in the cell. Now, so when you're going through these, you're going to have a lot of symptoms with premenopause, of course. You're looking at sleeping problems. We can help produce more melatonin. I mean, that happens in the pituitary. And we have the thyroid, which is so important for metabolism. When that starts declining, people can gain weight. You usually see people gaining weight about 45, 50, about the time when their enzyme production is going down, down, down. It's usually at the peak, about 35 to 40, but you can go on and on. Many people, they don't lose all their production until they get older. Of course, if someone's had a hysterectomy, then they're going to have to substitute. I usually recommend bioidentical hormones, but they're going to need the hormones and feed their glands as well. So what we want to do is we want to activate the hormones we do have and produce as many as we can. And the great thing about CellAge Plus is it provides the ingredients for you to do that. And on the other hand, it's lowering the inflammation in your body. It's the inflammation that causes the problems. When your estrogen levels go down, you start producing more, they're called inflammasomes. And those are interleukins and other things which cause inflammation in the body. That inflammation can lead to heart problems. It constricts the arteries. And when they get constricted, you're not getting the oxygen. You're not getting the nutrients to all parts of your body. And also the Kanagin up there, So why are so many people losing their brains, losing their minds? It's not all the stress. It has to do, too, with your diet. And there again, I just want to stress how important it is not to smoke. To me, it's that and Coca-Colas and Pops are the two most toxic substances in the world. And the third I would call wheat. Unfortunately, most noodles these days, what used to be rice, are now made out of wheat, if you'll see. And all wheat is rancid. That's all there is to it. It creates glutens that create havoc on your immune system. But another story. And cigarettes, like I said earlier, you're getting 100 cancer-causing free radical substances in your body every time you smoke. I know it can feel good. But, there's organic tobacco. I used to grow it in Kentucky in America when I had a big farm. And there's so many brands out there now that are doing organic tobacco. Tobacco can be a healthy substance, believe it or not. It's kind of like now they're finding out that cannabis is after all these years. So much research going on with cannabis and the benefits, the medicinal benefits. It's even allowed in many states in America now, and many places around the world, but that's another story. It's going to be a long time before it's approved in Malaysia, even though right now they're doing major research in some Thai universities. I was just talking to one of them yesterday, and about the research they're doing with cannabis. But I won't get off on that tangent. So it can be so beneficial in that way, and that you're going through these many symptoms, the mood disorders, the inflammation, maybe the arthritis, the joint aches and pains, the fatigues, the lack of the sleep problems. All of those can be improved. Now, keep in mind, this is not a drug. CellAge Plus is not a drug. It may not work overnight, but it's going to build. It's going to build. So I just encourage you to continue taking it. Now, we have seen some people, it may be too strong. It's got a lot of wonderful ingredients in it. And if you tend to detox too quick, or, if you start eliminating, because keep in mind, the disease or the condition, or the imbalance, let's say that illness or dis-ease with a hyphen in between, we don't call it disease, dis-ease in your body. It took years to develop. It didn't happen overnight, unless it was, it had an accident or something of that nature. But on the most part, it took years to develop. Why should it disappear overnight? something's not right there. You've got to give it time. You've got to go through layers of healing to balance sometimes. And that's what I've always encouraged my patients to do. Have patience. and things will resolve themselves with time if you're getting the right cellular nutrients, because it all happens in the cell. That's where everything is. So it can be so beneficial in premenopause and even in menopause. Once you're in that stage of menopause, which will continue on and on.
Yes, thank you so much for the details explanations. I guess maybe also because of the technologies, we have been improving from 3G, from 5 to 4G to 5G. So maybe people also feel like I want to see the effects to become better in shorter times. But in fact, we cannot rush it because we need to give it patience for it to regulate, to adjust slowly.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. Yeah. We go to the next questions. How does CellAge Plus help for PCOS patients?
Help for what?
PCOS patients.
PCOS, pulmonary cardiac.
Yes. Polycystic ovary syndrome.
Oh, polycystic ovaries. Oh, gotcha. Sorry about that. One thing you've got to look at is, of course, you need to consult with your physician with polycystic ovary syndrome or disease, whatever you want to call it. And that can be structural. You may need to look at there being a blockage there, or it could be a hormonal imbalance. It could be too much toxicity. You got to clean your colon out. There's certain things you got to do and look at, well, what's causing it? Now, I have seen, of course, the cyst decreased in size, but you have to monitor. I mean, you got to make sure that you're maintaining good health with all that. You and your physician have to work together on that. But with CellAge Plus, I think the most important part there is, as we were just mentioning, of course, it's going to help your hormonal production, for one, which could be blocked with the cyst, and the ovaries may not be functioning as well. So, but the other thing, again, is inflammation. You're reducing the inflammation in your body, which may be leading to the cystic problem. So it can help in those respects, and also with the antioxidants, because the antioxidants are going to come in and balance out the free radicals, which may be causing the ovarian problem. So it's working on a deeper level to try to balance your system. And as we mentioned at the start, activating your inner heating power so that you can deal with it. But as I said, with the condition, you really need to monitor it on a regular basis, which I'm sure you do with your physician. But I will say this, it can't hurt, because it is a food. It's a functional food. Many times, and I wouldn't recommend CellAge Plus in pregnancy, even though I think it's a wonderful cell food for the embryo. But if something were to happen, then it could be blamed on that. But working with the product for over 20 years now, different aspects of the product, I've not seen one single problem. But if you are experiencing some, let's call them detox symptoms, then you may need to cut back initially, and to whatever's tolerable. But keep in mind, you've got to get the crap out before you can start regenerating. You've got to get rid of the bad to bring in good. It's like our lives, right? We get rid of something bad and good can come in. So, yeah, I hope that helps. But detox is so important. And really clean your colon out. That's one of the first things I would do.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark. Okay. Our next question would be something to do with cancers. All right, so there's this question from the floor asking, is it okay for cancer patients to take CellAge Plus, because this patient, he just completed radiotherapy 3 years ago. So if let's say now he going to take on CellAge Plus, would it like accidentally activated back the cancerous cells? This is the first question. And then the second question would be, is it okay for cancer patients, who are also going through the therapies to take CellAge Plus now? And then the third questions would be, if let's say all these cancer patients, usually they have their own doctors and medications therapies advice. So usually their doctor would say like, oh, you are not advisable to take some other supplements. So, or because they only focus on their own medication. So, is there any way that we could advise the customers, or is it they will promote, to activate back the cancerous cells, or is it will become more aggressive?
Well, the one thing is, these are pure ingredients. Cancer lives on sugar. I mean, it's just known. You cut out sugar, and you're going to help your cancer condition so much. It's food. It just craves it. It's feed me more sugar. But you got to cut that part out. I mean, that's just key. And don't believe that NutraSweet and all these artificial sweeteners are good. They're worse. They're 100 times worse. I can tell you a story where it came from, with Donald Rumsfeld being the head of the FDA then and approving it because he had shares in the company, aspartame and NutraSweet, and they already knew that there were over 100 side effects of it. But that's another story. And you can never see anybody who drinks Diet Pop that they start losing weight. Every pop really has 10 teaspoons of sugar in it. Can you imagine? Every time you drink a Coca-Cola, a majority of them, all of them probably, even a lot of the green teas these days are loaded with 10 teaspoons of sugar, usually, up to 10. Can you imagine eating 10 teaspoons of sugar every time you have a Coca-Cola? But, the Diet Pop's just as bad, if not worse, as I have mentioned. And because it's worse on your blood sugar, it makes you crave more sugar. And so that's another story. But, the first question, which is basically, will activate or create new cancer cells? Well, the question I would ask is, are they going to stop eating food? Because this kind of answers the second or the third question too. This really isn't a supplement. We have no vitamins in there. These are all natural foods. Now, if somebody's, depending on the type of cancer, there may be certain instances like maybe leukemia when they're getting therapy. You may not want to take the product, but you still have to eat. So, you got to, here's the thing about it. When an individual is doing radiation chemotherapy, what's happening? They're killing cells, right? And
Yes.
it can be discriminated, it can be localized with radiation, they hope, but radiation gets many things in that area. They're not getting right into the cell. Chemotherapy, it's just general. They're hoping it is going to the area where the cancer is, but it's indiscriminate. It's going to kill many cells. Unfortunately, so often you hear, and I'm not saying don't get radiation chemotherapy, I'm just saying this is something that's well known, is an individual will say, oh, well, my cancer is cured. I no longer have liver cancer. And then they later say, well, but now I have intestinal cancer, now I have blood cancer. I mean, well, why? We have to feed our cells. The great thing about CellAge Plus, which is why we call it CellAge Plus, it is a patented food in it for cells, to feed cells, and they love it. Cells are smart. They know what's a good food and what isn't. It was shown at Cambridge University. They did a study that showed every cell in your body has this innate wisdom where it can decide what is good and what isn't, and what it will consume and what it won't. Well, cancer cells are different. They go for the toxins, they go for the sugar, they go for the dead food. And that's what makes them regenerate and repopulate. So, like I said before, research and find out. There's so many studies out there now, and great books about how to just get off sugar, and it'll help you enormously and immensely with cancer and reducing the malignant growth and producing new ones. And like I said, we've done studies to show that we balance the immune system with people who are on the ingredients in the product, not the full product, but the ingredients in the product. But just to be safe, they may not want to do it while they're on chemo and radiation. But eat good food, drink plenty of water, but just to be safe, because nobody knows. We know that when you're eating the product, it's not feeding cancer cells. But when they're on radiation chemo, maybe a good idea to follow their doctor's advice for sure. And if the doctor says don't take it once they review it, then follow their suggestion. It's so important because there's so many types of cancer. So many, it's just almost unlimited. And, now they're finding from research that cancer can be viral, can be bacterial, can be fungal. And the other thing, which research has proven, is that microorganisms in your body, now get this, it's called pleomorphism. And what can happen is a virus can change into a fungus. Keep that in mind. Bacteria, let's say, can change into a fungus. You take an antibiotic to kill that bacteria, and hopefully it hasn't become resistant to it. What happens? So often, particularly in women, they'll get what? Yeast infections from that antibiotic. Why? Well, according to some of the experts from Europe, long-time integrated medical doctors and scientists too, they showed on a microscope how this bacteria can change into a fungus. Why? Because it can survive. Like I mentioned at the start, these microorganisms have been around for eons. They're probably our planet could have started from a bacteria, who knows? But they were here at the start. Everything started with bacteria. Life force starts with bacteria, right? So they know how to survive. They know how to live, and they'll continue living long beyond maybe whatever happens to us. We live such a short time on this planet. So we have to honor and respect that. But what I'm saying is that, and I think I've answered most of the CEO one was, chemo and radiation. I don't feel that it will feed the individual who had radiation 3 years ago. Oh my gosh, they need it so bad because they need to regenerate their cells. They need to create many new ones. The radiation causes so many free radicals in their body. They have to neutralize those free radicals. And so very, very important. I'll emphasize once again, this is a food supplement, a therapeutic food supplement, not one vitamin in it. Let's just call it a therapeutic food, not a supplement. I eat it like food. I mix it in my smoothie every morning. It's not a supplement for me, but it just makes me feel vital. I feel probably 30. I act like I'm 15, but I feel like I'm 30, even though I'm 70. Anyway, so always first stage, most of all, do no harm. That's our physician's creed. And if the physician says, well, maybe you should take this right now, good advice. If the physician looks at it and says, hey, this could really help. This has some great ingredients in it that can help regenerate your cells, lower your inflammation so that you will recover faster, or so maybe you won't grow a lot of new cells, bad cells. You're growing new cells with this food. The one thing I do know is that it can't feed, it's not going to create cancer. That it's just virtually impossible. Unless you're saying like, well, I'm eating good food, healthy food every day. That creates probably feeding cancer cells. It doesn't work that way.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mark. All right, the next questions would be, how does CellAge Plus help with end-stage renal final patients? Because these patients, her EGFR FR index is only 9%, and then her creatinine index is 500. So would CellAge Plus help her to regenerate the kidney cells? And also, the doctors is already been advising her to go for dialysis. So would she be able to avoid going for dialysis by consuming CellAge Plus?
Well, there again, I always say you have to work with your physician. If they're recommending dialysis, you may have to go for it, even though it would be sad if you have to, because most people who get on dialysis, you can read the research and study it, they don't get off of dialysis. But sometimes it can help. I mean, no doubt about it. And it's essential if you need it. That's so key. Yeah, your kidneys are in a serious condition there. You may be diabetic as well. I'm not sure if you're online there, but because that can lead to this kidney problems. And I hope you're drinking enough water. They maybe say don't drink enough water, but that's another conflict of opinion. Yes, it can help to get down to the core level of it there, because it's feeding your cells, it's increasing your body's ability to regenerate and for your organs and your glands to function better. You may not want to take as much of it right now until you improve. But one thing, if your doctor's in agreement, is I would love for you to, if you can't delay the dialysis, he may say you need immediately, and you need to go for it. That's what it unfortunately comes down to. You may need to make that decision. Is that you take 1 to 2 a day for about a month, if you can wait a month, and see if your creatinine and your globulation filtration rate doesn't improve some. We've seen a couple that did, for sure, but they weren't serious conditions such as yours. So it's worth a try if your doctor agrees. Okay, but I definitely feel it could help if you have that time to do it. That's what's important.
All right, it sounds like rushing against time.
Maybe so. I don't know the condition. I mean, there's many conditions, many stages of kidney function, even with those factors. So it's up to her and her doctor to determine how serious it is at this present moment.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark. Our next question would be, does CellAge Plus improve the gout's tissues?
Very much so, along with changing your diet. Gout is a dietary situation. Also, they're finding a lot of gout now with COVID symptoms, which is quite interesting, that inflammatory reaction. But hopefully you didn't have COVID. And hopefully, in some respects, it's your diet. You really need to get online and look at the foods or drink or smoking, whatever it may be, that's causing your gout. Okay, get to the cause. That's so important. And definitely take this, because it has anti-inflammatories in it, and it can be wonderful for helping the body get rid of so much of this uric acid. But if you continue to put it in there, it's like you've got a fire going on and you're feeding more fire in there, to keep it going. And the CellAge Plus can help, and it may balance it totally. But as long as you continue to feed yourself, to take these foods that are causing your high uric acid buildup, you're going to continue to have it.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mark. Next question would be, all right, CellAge Plus is food for our stem cells. So when our stem cells are working, would they increase the hormones level in our body?
I'm sorry, can you repeat again? You cut out a little bit there. Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, would stem cell, after activated by our CellAge Plus, would they increase the hormones level in our body?
I really feel they will. Well, it's there's no doubt, because hormones are made from cholesterol, and they're also made from steroids, and they're also made from natural steroids, from amino acids. It's one of the keys, and that all requires enzymatic function. We are enhancing the body's process. That's why this is so beneficial. We are enhancing, we're feeding, we're creating new stem cells. Now, keep in mind, one stem cell creates billions of working cells. One stem cell. We started with one stem cell and it created everything else. The body has this is also for the person with the kidney problem, the body has this innate knowledge, and they've shown this. We showed this 40 years ago, 50 years ago with Dr. Royal Lee. They did tracers, isotope traces, iodine tracing. And what they showed is that when somebody took a glandular, let's say it was a thyroid glandular, let's say it was a liver gland, or what we call them, protomorphogens, substance, or pancreas, or wherever it may have been, they actually saw that when the body digested these substances, it went right to where it was needed. Isn't that amazing? And that was traced and scientific. So our body has this awareness and knowledge of where to send what it needs to do the job it needs to do. There again, from the start of our talk tonight, we talked about innate wisdom, that innate power that our body has. It's phenomenal. It's miraculous, actually, that it has that capability. But that's been proven. So that's why when you take this formula, it's going to do and go where it needs to go because it's pure. A lot of it's organic. If not, it's organically grown. And they may not have certification on all the ingredients, but we know it comes from a good pure source. So what's going to happen there is it's going to go where it needs to go and do what it needs to do. And one of the key parts of why this is such a multi-beneficial formulation, it does so many things. It helps so many different conditions, and it has so many effects on the body. They call it efficacy, which is a great word, which means it works. How much efficacy is there with the results you get? And it's very high because we know it works. So it's going to feed the hormones. It's going to help create more. It's going to balance them. And so, it is going to help the liver so much in the production of these hormones. Each gland is going to be regenerated, so it works better. And that includes even with diabetes. The pancreas is going to start working better. One of the ingredients in this formula, we did a study with 707 people to show how it improved the symptoms and the blood sugars by up to 30% in only 30 days, which was just phenomenal. 707 people. So we know what it can do, and we know how it creates new stem cells and how it feeds the stem cells that are hibernating. So, and how it affects the immune system, how it affects the hormonal system. So all of those, it's great getting these questions tonight about the hormones because, I just did a lot of research on it to show how beneficial this product can be through all stages, whether it be young, old, adolescent, premenopausal, menopausal, whatever it may be. Back again, keep in mind, this is not curing, healing any disease. We make no claims with that whatsoever, would never even suggest it. But it can help almost everything because it's giving you the food, the power, the nutrients you need to do your own job, to help heal yourself. If you weren't doing that on a 24-hour basis, we'd all be dead. That's what our body's doing, That's back to the innate wisdom, innate power. This gives you the fuel and the materials you need to feed that innate power.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mark. Next question would be, how does CellAge Plus help with insomnia and hypertension?
Hypotension?
Yes, this customer, she has both hypertension and insomnia. So how does CellAge Plus help her to improve these symptoms?
Well, for one, as we mentioned earlier, and it's not the only cause. Of course, it could be stress factors and other things as well. But one of the main causes is a reduction in melatonin as we get older. Melatonin is known to be the sleep hormone. And so, as we just said just now about how it can help improve every gland, from to produce these hormones, particularly the pineal. It's a pineal for melatonin. Pineal pituitary, yes, pineal. And improving, enhancing that, enhancing the circulation through the body so you can get the blood to the brain to feed the pineal so it can do its job of producing melatonin. So it can help in that respect. The other is reducing inflammation. That's a big key. But also, of course, there's always the stress factors, and you have to look at your life and look at the stress and make sure that's not an issue. But if it's melatonin, it can help because it's helping produce that melatonin, which is basically the sleep I'll call it drug substance, hormone in our body. On the other hand, too, it's helping feed the brain because of the circulation and the nutrients the brain needs and the stem cell food to produce all the feel goods. I mean, that's one thing with premenopause and menopause, it's the mood swings and even menopause. I mean, there again, men say, oh, it's just she's going through menopause. Well, men go through it too. Oh my gosh. I just read a statistic, which is very interesting, that, COVID's serious. There's no doubt about it. And these variants, there were more suicides by hundreds of thousands in the last 3 months of 2020 than there were COVID deaths. More suicides, more HIV deaths, more deaths, more car accidents. Okay, so, we have to look at the rest of our life as well. And that's just where you've got to look at that hormonal balance and exercise. Okay, everybody needs to get some exercise. I'm not much into running. I think it's too hard on the joints, especially as we get older. But walking and weight-bearing exercises, those are real key because as we get older, our muscle mass tends to deteriorate as well. And so we need to keep that strong and build that. And you don't have to go out, mega weights, but just even small weights, just weight bearing. So important. And that also helps with calcium. But what I was saying is with the mood for menopause and menopause is you got to feed those glands that produce those endorphins, the serotonins, and all of those, that are feel-good hormones. And a lot of that's up there in that Kanagan, as we call it. My mom always used to say, oh, it's your Kanagan. That's the biggest problem. It's like I say when I play golf. They say, what's your handicap? Oh, it's between my ears. It's your brain. That's my biggest handicap in golf. Anyway, so yes, it can help. And definitely try it. And sometimes you may not want to take it right before sleep because it may give you a lot of energy. But I really feel it can help.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mark. Our next questions is a customer lady, 58 years old, and she has no uterus since year 2013. She's been taking vitamin C, omega, vitamin E per tier since 2013. And since the withdrawal of uterus, she has been having difficulty to sleep. So how would you think that CellAge Plus could help her to improve these conditions?
Well, from one, just what I said, of course, when she lost her uterus, I don't know if it's a complete hysterectomy or not, if they took the ovaries too. But regardless, she's going to probably lower her estrogen. And she may need to do what I would recommend would be bioidentical hormones. And I know they're available here in Malaysia. They're available worldwide now. I always used to use bioidentical. But it's the melatonin probably, with the reduction of estrogen production. Also, the melatonin will go down. She needs to check. She needs to do her whole hormone panel now. Some do saliva, some do blood for estrogen, DHEA, progesterone. Women have testosterone too. But in melatonin, you can check all those to see what your levels are. So important. I'm not one to recommend just taking hormones without first testing and see what your levels are. I mean, how do you know what to take? It may be progesterone, you may need more DHEA, things of that nature. You know, they also found that individuals who had the most severe COVID symptoms had low DHEA, which is interesting. You know, it's a precursor for other hormones. So everybody, you know, who's having hormonal imbalances, check it. Go check it and see what the levels are. You may be surprised. Your doctor may be surprised, you know, but you need to test those. So, yeah.
All right. So, how would you recommend this customer to consume the CellAge Plus?
I would start with 1 or 2 a day, and you can build 4 a day. Start with 1 or 2 a day, and just see how you feel and see how it helps. Give it about a month. It may be instant, but you know things work in cycles of 7. So give it 28 days and see what happens. You know, go through a whole cycle and see. But you know, being as you've had your uterus removed, this is the lady who had the hysterectomy, right? Partial. Well, we don't.
Yes, removed since year 2013.
Yeah. The C's and E's may help, but you got to make sure you're doing the right C and the right E, not just this synthetic ascorbic acid and not just this DL alpha, which is synthetic vitamin E. Those are junk. You know, don't buy that cheap stuff. It's from the pharmaceutical companies. Get a good source of the C, like calcium ascorbate with the bioflavonoids, something like that. The more alkaline form of the vitamin C. And the great thing about taking vitamin C with the CellAge is we have those bioflavonoids in there, the quercetin, so that's going to help with the overall utilization of vitamin C. So, and the vitamin E, make sure you're getting a good one. But you've got to work with your physician, you know, to balance those hormones now that you've had the hysterectomy. Like I said, I don't know if it's total or partial. So all of those things are factors.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mark. Next question would be, does alcohol decrease the effects of CellAge Plus?
Absolutely. Alcohol decreases the effect of everything. Now, you know, there's so many studies out that moderate alcohol consumption can actually be good. And also this person mentioned hypotension. You know, they showed maybe a little bit of red wine or 1 drink a day, whatever, can help with hypotension. You know, hypotension can be a lot of factors, but when you're looking at it, particularly with this individual, that same thing happens is when the hormone levels go down, the inflammasomes go up, and then it constricts the blood vessels. What happens? What is that? That's the hypotension, right? So it can help in that respect. So that is so important, particularly with the hypotension, and it can help so much. And you know, to start with just 1 or 2 a day, and see what the benefits are. So, which did I answer that question?
The question was, does alcohol decrease the effects of CellAge Plus?
Maybe I need to go try some. Excess alcohol is going to decrease the function of everything. That's all there is to it. You know, it can kill brain cells. It can lower your oxygen level. Usually, people don't drink enough water when they're drinking alcohol, and also can deplete your electrolytes and things of that nature. I mean, I feel things like wine and maybe good pure Junmai sake, things like that can be much more beneficial than hard liquors. But of course, it's best if you don't drink at all. But you know, I admit I love a little sake or a little wine sometimes. Most beers are not the best thing because nowadays most of them are made from wheat. A lot of them are made from wheat, but if you can get a good source of them, fantastic. But so that's my suggestion: is moderation, especially moderation. Binging can be the worst things an individual can do. It's bad for the skin. It's bad for the organs, the brain, the glands, and the great thing. I mean, not the great thing, but if you are drinking a lot, taking CellAge Plus is going to help a lot because it's going to counteract a lot of the side effects of the alcohol. Alcohol is just, alcohol is hell on the liver. Okay, that and so many other functions of the body. So moderation may be okay. So much research says, resveratrol in the wines and such, red wines. So who knows? I mean, there's so much conflicting information out there. It's almost like the situation, especially now with the internet. Anybody can say anything. Before, still they can control what they say. Then pharmaceutical companies had even more control, before the internet. But now there's so much information out there. So much of it's so valuable. There's so many sources of good information that are reliable. Dr. McCullough is phenomenal. Dr. Ozzie, I think he can go back and forth on things. He can get a little extreme, but there's so many great sources out there you can access on the internet to research this yourself and see the studies, the actual bona fide studies, because it's like COVID now. Who knows what's real and what isn't? I mean, everything from ivermectin to, which may be good, to hydroquinone, to the vaccines. I mean, there's so many things out there, to Artemisia annua, artemisinin. I mean, so much research going on right now, and nobody knows. The pharmaceuticals companies have the most money. They can do the biggest research and get the most marketing and most publicity out there. And they can also control their studies, which they're known to do. But I'm not saying anything against vaccinations. I'm just saying let's look at the alternatives too. Let's really look at the research there. And with alcohol, there again, look at the research about what it can do and the harm of it. But maybe in moderation, it may be okay, especially in hypertension.
All right. Yeah. So since alcohol could reduce the effects of CellAge Plus, how would CellAge Plus help with hangover?
Well, for one, as I mentioned, a lot of times hangovers are due to electrolyte depletion, not enough water, and inflammation in the body. Alcohol causes inflammation, unfortunately. And so this product can help so much with that because it replenishes a lot of that that's happening. I mean, you still are going to need probably B vitamins. Those get depleted significantly with alcohol consumption, potassium, calcium, magnesium, things like that. But these anti-inflammatories can help in that respect. Now, that's the other thing I want to say about hypertension. It is an inflammatory state, but also it has so much to do with circulation. You've got to keep that circulation flowing. You've got to keep that blood viscous so it doesn't get too thick. You want it flowing. The more acidic food you eat, the thicker the blood's going to get. The more alcohol is going to make the blood thicker. So that's where it's so important to reduce the consumption if possible, but also exercise. Exercise is essential for hypertension. You've got to move it. It's like my mentor used to say, if you rest, you rust, and that's what happens. But also meditation. I mean, even it doesn't have to be a spiritual meditation if that's, if you don't want, but just meditating every day, sitting and doing breath can help hypotension immensely. I used to work with the Sims Foundation out of India and America, and Students for International Meditation Society, and they did this incredible research about how meditation could lower hypertension like that, just almost within days, the proper type of meditation. So, and even Tai Chi, Qigong, things of that nature, the focus is going to improve hypertension. And exercise, you've got to move. It's so important. And don't eat so many fatty foods. I mean, fats are essential. And cholesterol is essential. Like I said earlier, cholesterol forms your enzymes, can form hormones, can form brain cells. everything, but your liver produces a lot of cholesterol. It should have the right kind. That's what's so important. Okay.
All right. So would you advise to take CellAge Plus before alcohol or after drinking alcohol?
Both. Both before to build up your system and then after. It would be a great study to do, actually, with alcohol and CellAge Plus to show the benefits. I think it would be phenomenally positive in respect of the after effects of alcohol before and taking it after. I have a friend who has been working with some ingredients in this product for 25 years. And he he loves drinking, whether it be beer, wine, or whiskey, or sake, whatever. He always takes the product before and after. And I must say, he golfs almost every day, and he never seems to be low energy. So
Wow.
he's a living example. He's just turned 80. Yeah, he just turned 80.
All right. That's wonderful.
Well, sorry, I misspoke. He doesn't play on Sundays. He takes the day off. Unless there's a tournament. If there's a tournament, it doesn't matter. He'll take another day off.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mark. Next question would be, does CellAge Plus stimulate the hair growth?
I really feel it does. I know that it's definitely going to make it shinier and healthier. Now, one thing that happens with, particularly with menopause and menopause, is hair loss. And with men much earlier. I mean, look, these days, there's bald-headed men, late 20s and 30s now. And so the hormones are going down faster and faster. They're becoming more degenerative at earlier age. A lot of that's metabolic syndrome. But women too, so many women are losing hair. And what I found is that they may still lose hair, but they're growing a lot of new hair, which is very interesting. I haven't seen it turn gray to regular color yet, but there have been some people who claim that that can happen. I've got to see the befores and afters to know for sure. So yeah, I think it definitely can regenerate every part of your body because it's feeding your stem cells.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Dr. Mark. Next question would be, can CellAge Plus help with hyperpigmentation?
I am not sure. Many times hyperpigmentation can be liver function. And I think it could definitely help because you're improving liver function. And also you're reducing the toxic level in the body. Now, of course, pigmentation can also be a genetic tendency. So I don't know if it will actually reduce it. One thing that somebody suggested recently was to make a paste out of it and put it right on the pigmentation spot and see what happens for about 30 days. Every night before you go to bed, just make a little paste, put it on there and see what happens.
What paste?
Just make like a paste, with a little bit of water, and just make it kind of like a paste, small paste, and just dab it onto the pigmentation at night before you go to bed or during the day. Now, with Malaysia being in lockdown, you're not going anywhere anyway, so why not put it on all day and just see what happens with it.
Oh, you mean CellAge Plus?
Yes, with a little water, just make a paste.
Oh, all right. Okay, this is interesting. This is the first time I heard about this.
maybe a future mask. We're looking at, well, that's another story. I don't know if I'm supposed to disclose that right now.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mark. Okay, the next question would be, does CellAge help with libido?
With what? Libido?
Yes.
Well, personally, I don't know, and I haven't had the problem, but I really think it can. The great thing about it goes back to hormonal production. You're definitely getting better hormonal production, better circulation throughout the body. I mean, that's what all the sildenafils, tadalafils, volatiliphils are about, is circulation. They're creating more circulation. And it produces the hormones and the enzymes your body needs to have a stronger libido. So important. And, one thing they found actually is that curcumin in itself may really benefit the libido. Well, that's something else I'm not supposed to talk about yet. Products for the future, but
Okay, I understand.
keep
Keep it for now.
keep tuned in. Keep tuned in, okay? But yes, I think it really can help with libido, and I think significantly. I think you might see a significant increase and improvement in that area.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mark. Shall we go for the last question?
Okay.
All right. Heart artery blockage, done 5 times surgery. So, is it okay to take CellAge Plus to prevent the blockage? And how would you advise to consume and the sequence in between?
Five what?
5 times surgeries due to heart artery blockage.
5 times what? I'm sorry.
Surgery.
Oh, surgery. Oh, they probably had a bypass or something else. But anyways, many procedures right now for blockage of the arteries. Oh, 100% it can help. And there's no way it can hurt. That's the great thing about it. For one, you're improving liver function. You're taking out the inflammation. As I mentioned earlier, blockages in the arteries are not so much where they are high cholesterol, but it's the inflammation that occurs in the blood vessels. That's why foremost research now, you've got to check regularly your CRP, your C-reactive protein. That's one of the inflammatory markers, and your homocysteine, because that's what leads to the constriction, the blockages that happen in there. You've got to change your diet, of course. I mean, you've got to get off the foods that tend to create the blockages, the hydrogenated oils. And I shouldn't say this, but don't worry so much about pure coconut oil. It's one of the best foods you can eat, and avocados, things like that. It's all good cholesterol. But look at the foods that cause bad cholesterol and look at the foods that cause good cholesterol. You need to build up your HDL. Okay, that's so important. That's through good cholesterol. CellAge Plus can help with that because it's giving you the ingredients you need for the liver to produce a good cholesterol. And also it's reducing the inflammation and increasing circulation. So you don't have those, the ischemia, the blockage of not enough oxygen, not enough nutrients getting through, and the blockages that can result. But, it's like you're a prime example, unfortunately. Many times you get a blockage and they say, well, you're fine now, you cleared the artery. But it's the same with the blood vessel. It's the same throughout your whole body. You've got those blockages, and it may take a while to resolve that. Excuse me. But the great thing about it, there's no drug I know of that can reduce the blockages from occurring. You've got to look at diet. You've got to get more exercise. So important, that you keep the blood circulating. And the CellAge Plus can help so much, reducing inflammation. That's the cause of it all. It's like I said earlier, you can have high cholesterol and live with it because there's no inflammation there happening to create the constriction. You're not producing a lot of the interleukins and such, but which can happen as we age too, as we produce more inflazones, which I mentioned earlier. You can look that up. And you're creating antioxidants to block a lot of that. So all of those are essential. And then again, the enzymes, the antioxidants are enzymes. You're getting the materials to form those 75,000 catalytic enzymes in your body. So important for digestion, for metabolism, for energy production, for circulation, for inflammation. All of those are part of CellAge Plus. And that's one reason why I promote the products so strongly. It's because I see that it has so many diverse benefits. And as I said before, it's not going to help any single disease. I mean, it's not going to cure or heal any disease. Let's be really clear about that. It's not what it's meant for. It's to assist your body, give your body the power and the materials it needs to be able to balance your immune system, balance what we call homeostasis, where everything is functioning normally. You don't want to overstimulate and you don't want to make anything underactive. You want to modulate, excuse me, and balance everything. That's the key. And we should call this something like balance your life product or whatever. But being as it does have such great stem cell food in it, we decided to work with great name, CellAge Plus, because not only does it feed your cells and it can help you have a better quality of life as you age. I'm not so much into the terminology anti-aging. Why fight it? It's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. But we can age with grace, age with style, age with energy, age with power, age with health. And that's one of the keys too as we get older. But even in younger age, who doesn't want to be balanced? It's so sad to go to so many places, so many hospitals these days, and see all the young people in there with such degenerative diseases. It's getting worse and worse. Diabetes is happening so much younger, so much more often than ever before. And, even gestational diabetes or childhood diabetes that they're born with it is happening just multitudes times more. So we need to get a grip on this. Very important. Of course, we got to change our diet and our lifestyle and things of that nature. But this product can help in so many ways. It's what I want to emphasize. So, and there again, it's a functional food. So important to know. It's not a medicine. It's not a drug. It's a food. It's like saying, well, I can't eat food because it might hurt me. Well, some foods do. There's no doubt about it, like gout and such, or cancers and whatever. But this is a beneficial food for your system and for you, all ages.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much to Dr. Marks for the very professional and thorough and helpful sharings and also advice to all of us here tonight. And thank you so much for precious time for answering so many questions from the floor. So I guess we are going to come to the end of the session today. So before we end, do you have anything else to wrap up?
I think I pretty much said it right at the end of there, other than what I would say is
Stop smoking, do more exercise, stop sugar.
all of the above. It's kind of sad. I think Malaysia may be up in the top 5. I've heard #1 country in the world for the highest incidence of obesity per capita. Now, we don't have the highest numbers. Probably China or India has the highest numbers. America's pretty close. I mean, they're 65 or 70% obesity now. It means 2 out of every 3 people or more are overweight. And overweight, obesity leads to every degenerative disease known. So do what you can to help reduce your weight. And CellAge Plus can really help. It has ingredients in it that can be very, very beneficial for all conditions of the body. And it's, what can I say? It's just, you've got to try it. It can't hurt. That's the great thing about it.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark. And thank you so much for all of you here today for spending the precious time with us to learn more about not just product, but mainly more to understand more about our health, to know more about our body, to how to stay balanced, to all our body functions and all. So thank you so much and wish all of you a
Thank you.
wonderful and great night ahead. All right. Thank you, Dr. Mark. And we will end here. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye
too. You were
bye.
great. Appreciate it.